Well, hello, chaps. It's Troy, and I am sitting in Chelsea having a cup of tea. Just been running around doing some errands. So I wanted to do a video talking about the importance of emoting. So yesterday, well, whenever this goes out, but recently I did a video where I talked about the 5 attraction triggers as identified by Mystery that men are supposed to have in order to be optimally attractive to the opposite sex. And one of those is the ability to emote. So I just wanted to expand on that a little bit in this video, because what we see a lot, teaching this stuff, doing dating coaching, teaching guys in different countries all over the planet, is that when men first become aware of dating content, right, they consume a lot of it, which is great, and they get the idea, right, okay, so I can't be a simp. I can't put her on a pedestal. I can't do anything that's going to sort of place her above me in any way. So, and they also hear the message, you've got to be an alpha male. You've got to be super alpha. You've got to be impossible. You've got to be impossible at all times. Okay? And as with all of these things, there's so much nuance involved. In essence, those things are well-founded and they're good advice. But you've got to take all of this stuff with a pinch of salt, and you've got to bring some humanity into the equation. Now, what I mean by that is that some guys will then overcompensate, particularly guys, which is most of us, who come from, a bit of a nice guy, soft sort of backgrounds, okay? And then they think, right, in order to correct the balance, what I need to do is become super alpha. I'm going to be super stern the whole time. I'm never going to smile. I'm never going to crack a joke. I'm never going to say she looks pretty. I'm never going to say anything complimentary at all, because if I do that, that's going to make me a simp, and then she's going to lose interest. So that's not what a true alpha does. Okay, so they take it too far the other way. And if you do that, then you know what? That's not attractive either. And this is the problem, you see, as I always say in these videos, unfortunately, it would be great if there was this cookie-cutter recipe that worked for every individual woman in every individual circumstance, and it was just like this mathematical equation, and it was very straightforward. But it really isn't, because what we're dealing with here is emotion, okay? We're dealing with emotional connection between human beings, disparate human beings, okay? And that's another complication, because every single woman you meet is going to be slightly different in terms of what she expects, and what she finds a turn on, or she doesn't like, and so on and so forth. So there's nuances within nuances, okay? And depending on who you're dealing with, it's going to change ever so slightly, which is why we talk a lot about this term calibration, okay, which is amending what you're doing depending on the circumstance in which you find yourself, and depending on the personalities in which you find yourself surrounded in that moment. Okay? So calibration is super important, but going back to the main topic, being too alpha and not being able to emote is not going to be attractive, okay? Because she doesn't want to date somebody who is, a cardboard cutout, right? She doesn't want to date a robot. She wants to date a human being. She wants to date somebody with whom she can vibe, with whom she can have a good time, with whom she can enjoy herself and feel free and feel human, okay? And so what does emoting really mean? Well, it means being real, to be honest. It means being authentic, and it means being real. So I suppose the best way of encapsulating that is being able and being willing to verbalize whatever it is you're feeling in the moment. So if you're feeling a bit fed up, you can verbalize that. If you're feeling really happy, you can express that. If you're feeling a little bit down, you can express that. If you run out of things to say, you could express that. You could say to her, listen, you're very pretty. It's great to meet you. You know what? I completely run out of things to say because I was just overcome by your beauty. You can say that as a kind of joke. Expressing how you're feeling in the moment. There's also this piece about vulnerability as well. Now, guys will also get this thing in their head. I can never show vulnerability, because if I show vulnerability, I'm not masculine, and she's going to get turned off, and it's going to be game over. Okay, not necessarily true. Now, I'm not talking about crying on her shoulder for 5 minutes. Obviously, it's ridiculous. You wouldn't do that. But it is okay to talk a bit about difficult things that you've been through. It is okay to talk about some of the hard challenges that maybe you've been through in the past. Maybe some of the things that you used to find very traumatic or very difficult, and now you're able to handle. Okay, and the best, of course, way of talking about these things is if you have overcome it, right? If you're still, I don't know, incredibly scared of heights or something, then I wouldn't necessarily showcase that. But say there was something that you found incredibly hard at first, maybe like public speaking, okay, and recently you've just spoken to an audience of 500 people and it went amazing, right? You might then tell a story and say, listen, you know, I have to say, when I was a kid, public speaking for me, I was just, you know, it was game over. I was terrified. But I went through this process, I did these different things, I did these exercises, and you know what? I gave that speech, there was 500 people there, and it was great, like standing ovation, I felt brilliant. And isn't it wonderful that as human beings we have this capacity to overcome, we have this capacity to get through these difficult things and to come out the other side better people, okay? If you're able to tell a story like that in a dating context, that's really good because you're showing that you're human. You're also, though, showing that you've come through the difficulty, which, of course, is also important because she doesn't want a victim. You know, she doesn't want somebody who's being relentlessly tossed around on the winds of fortune and is a slave to that fortune. She wants somebody who's in control of their own destiny. But it's fine to talk about tricky things that you've been through. I mean, I would often talk about problems with addiction that I've had or issues that I've had in the past with mental health. I mean, it's not mental health. I mean, tone it down a little bit, you know, but issues around substances and, you know, I have to say, you know, I was in a really bad way for a while, but I decided, you know, I needed to sort things out, and so I took these steps, and this is what I did, and now, you know, my life is a lot better. I think being open and honest about that kind of stuff and showing that humanity is attractive, okay? Because, again, you know, she doesn't want somebody who is this perfectly rounded individual who hasn't got any flaws and has never done anything wrong and is completely perfect, okay? Because that is just, it's going to seem fake because it's not true of anyone, right? And she's going to see through. So showing that slightly more vulnerable side and being able to emote is really important. And another point, by the way, about emoting, which I mentioned in the last video, is that it is also down to tonality as well. It's not just down to the story that you tell, like the words that you say, the paragraphs that you put together to tell that story. It's also about the manner in which you tell it. You know, are you modulating the tone? Is your voice increasing in volume and decreasing in volume? Are you speeding up? Are you slowing down and exciting bits? Are you bringing some animation into it? Okay, too many guys, they're very monotone in their speech. You know, the speech goes along like this, it's sort of one level, and you know, it's a bit fucking boring. I mean, if you were an actor in a movie, you wouldn't do that. Right? There's got to be some excitement. There's got to be some drama. There's got to be some pathos, right? So, are you bringing those elements in? Are you a dynamic person to spend time with? Okay? Can you tell stories, these stories about your life? Can you tell them in a dynamic way that's going to engage her and entertain her, but also make her feel closer to you? Okay, that's what you need to be doing. That's what you need to be aiming at. So emote, but also think about the way that you're expressing these things as well. It's very, very, very powerful because a lot of guys, as I say, will think, I've got to be this like two-dimensional kind of dude. I've got to just be like, I don't know, this cardboard cutout. And they go on dates and it feels very fake. It feels very inauthentic. And it's also a bit flat as well, quite frankly. It's a bit flat, it's a bit boring because there's just nothing to get hold of. If you think of a lot of famous rock stars, for example, a lot of famous rock stars, they have this huge talent and this huge ability, and they're able to stand in front of the stage with thousands and thousands of people in front of them. But equally, a lot of them have this very traumatic backstory. Okay, maybe they have struggles with addiction, struggles with, you know, family issues and things in their youth, or, you know, all different kinds of sort of struggles and traumas that they've been through in order to come out the other side, and that makes them more interesting. It doesn't make them less interesting. It actually adds to the mythos. Right? It adds to the whole thing. So you want to have a bit of that. You want to have a backstory that you can relate and that she's going to buy into. Okay? She's going to feel empathy for. She's going to feel respect for you because you've come through it. All right? Really, really important stuff. Super key. Gets ignored quite a lot. There's too much sort of bravado, I think, online. There's too much talk about just being this perfect, you know, six-pack abs, 6 figures per month, six figures a month. What's the other one? 6-inch schlong, whatever. And there's not enough talk about being able to be open about your shortcomings. And it is very, very powerful when it's done sparingly. I'm not saying do it all the time, right? I'm not saying, and what you should never do is be self-deprecating. Okay? This isn't about putting yourself down and going, yeah, I'm an idiot, I'm a failure, I'm a wanker, because that's no good either. But to acknowledge that there have been difficulties and to be able to talk about it in that engaging way, that is cool. That's where you need to be. All right, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something from this. If you enjoyed it, please do subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell, and if you want to have a free call with me to discuss your dating situation, then the link is below. See you again very soon.